Hey guys, welcome to another Occ-Cast. As you can tell, we're in a surfboard factory and I'm lucky enough to have Jason Stevenson with me. Thank you, JS, for coming to the Occ-Cast. Good friend.
Pleasure.
And my shaper and many more other things. So we're very well related and we're in Coolangatta, well actually West Tweed, at JS's factory. And thanks for coming on the Occ-Cast again.
Yeah, no worries.
We've known each other for a while.
Yeah, we have.
20 years.
Yeah.
The favourite saying that 20 years, remember Andy and Bruce? 20 years, everything's 20 years, but it actually probably has been about that long.
Yeah.
Where did we meet?
Yeah, it's been far out. It's been a long time. I think, I don't know, it was just before I probably started making your boards. It was ages ago. Andy, Bruce, all that kind of, those eras. Louis. Yeah, I reckon through Louis.
Would have been through Louis.
I reckon through Louis.
Louis being Luke Egan.
Yeah.
Which was probably one of your first team riders.
He was.
Or Dean Morrison.
He was just after Dingo, actually. Yeah. Dean was when I first started out on my own. Dean was the first team rider that I had.
He was.
Yeah.
And he actually was the first guy to ever win a CT contest on your board.
Yep.
I remember that because I was in the final.
Yep.
What year?
You
beat me in the final.
I don't know.
You were there. You don't know what year.
I don't know what year. I don't know. I can't remember what year it was.
It was 2003.
You know.
I remember that day because the contest wasn't supposed to be on that day because it was supposed to be flat, and we went out and had a few beers, and then I woke up the next day and the contest was on. And I was like, damn. But I still made the final, but I ran out of energy. Hey,
yeah, ran out of gas.
Did you see that final?
Ran out of gas. Yeah.
I ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Dino was on fire. You shaped with DH. When did you first?
I lived.
Let's go way back to the start.
Way back.
Which is only a few years before.
Born and bred Stradbroke Island.
Yep.
And lived there my whole life.
Yep. Beautiful spot.
Unbelievable. Pumping. Good waves. I mean, a lot of people, B. Durbridge, Ethan Ewing, nowadays. But cylinder, classic right-hander, and then Main Beach, which was a punchy left.
Beautiful.
So,
So, because you're a very capable surfer, you were looking at a professional surfing career at that stage, right?
I really enjoyed competing back then, but there was obviously restrictions growing up there, and long way away from everything, and you're pretty far removed. But I also, there was only myself, my brother, and Russell Speck at the time, so there was only pretty much us three guys who would surf any kind of swell, and then myself and my brother would surf every morning before school, every day after school. So, but we were literally the only guys in the water. I think I was about 23 when I first moved to the Gold Coast.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember going and pestering Murray Burton for a job. Like, the only thing that I ever knew was surfing. And Murray, I used to ride Pipe Dream back in the day. I used to ride for Murray.
Okay.
Originally. And then when Darren started coming up, then I started getting some boards off Darren. And so I actually rode, those
for
guys.
Darren.
For Darren. So those guys' boards. And I remember going around and, had no work and just kept going and knocking on Murray's door until the point where he was like, you're fucking annoying me. I'm going to have to give you a job. And I remember getting $5 an hour off him.
Really?
He was pretty tight, old muzzer. Yeah. So I remember working
even back in those days, that wasn't a lot of money.
No, it was nothing, mate. I worked for peanuts for them.
Yeah, wow.
But I wanted to learn. So and that I did.
That was a handoff.
Yeah, that's where it all started. I remember I actually started obviously just sweeping floors and doing shit like that. But I started laminating. His son at the time, Sky Burton, wanted to be a shaper, so I started laminating his boards. And I just, after, I think it was about 6 months, I was just saying, this is not me. And Darren and Kenny Reimers actually took me into, Reimers took me into that side of it, started showing me some stuff, let me watch him. And Murray had a heap of these old second blanks that were shoved up in the roof that he'd gotten off Burfords. And I was like, can I have one of them? Can I, make myself a board in that? And he's like, yeah, $20.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it made me buy them. Yeah, so I had to buy all the second blanks.
Oh, you
and,
did?
yeah, he charged
No
me
way.
$20 and got in there and just started hacking away, and
Wow. And that was the start of it.
that was the start.
And that's crazy how far it's come. So Luke Egan would have been your first big team rider.
He was.
And
He was.
he was doing pretty well back in the
Yeah,
day.
well, he was number 2 in the world. And
He was.
him and Andy were having little battles, actually.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, Luke was riding for Darren, and then he had just came to me, and we'd already had a relationship, we were mates kind of thing. And he's like, make me some boards. And I was like, oh, really? You want me to make you some boards? Because, you know, you look up to like yourself.
Yeah, like no pressure.
No pressure. But you know, growing up as a grommet, it was you and Luke and all these guys. So you always, you know, I always looked up to all you guys. But to have, you know, that Luke walk in the door and go, make me some boards just after he got second in the world.
Yeah, right.
I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm that good, eh? I don't think I'm good enough for that.
Really? Wow.
You know, because he was coming into the start of his next year, like wanting to contend again.
And plus with Luke, because his dad shapes and he knows a fair bit about shaping, so
Yeah.
that'd be more pressure.
Yeah, he did.
He doesn't shape himself, but he knows a lot though, hey?
If there's one guy that knows a lot about surfboards, it's Luke Egan. So I got to work with him. I made him some boards, and he's like, "There's something here. There's something in this with you, and let's just do this and do that." And I learned a lot. Actually from Luke, a real lot.
Yeah, your team, you've got such an amazing team. I mean, from Luke through Joel to, you know, we've had Bruce and Andy. We had Andy, and I mean, who is it the hardest to shape for? Like, I mean, I reckon Luke would have been, and I don't know how hard it is to shape for Joel, but would I be the easiest because I know nothing about boards? You think?
And,
because you know, I'm like the bigger guy.
No, I reckon that
Luke
Luke was definitely
hard.
Luke was so in tune with it.
Yeah.
So I think that he wasn't the hardest. He was just really knowledgeable. So I just gained a lot.
Yeah.
And from Luke, I think it really helped everyone else. You know, it gave and he gave me a lot of confidence once we'd got this sort of formula. And I think, you know, that even that first year, I think he went on and won Trestles and was, you know, back in title races with Andy again. So straight off the bat. So
success straight off the bat.
Yeah. And so that gave me a lot of confidence. And I think that, you know, not just because you don't know much about surfboards doesn't make you the easiest, you know.
Right,
but I think just having Luke was a big guy, strong, goofy. You know, I have this thing for goofy footers.
Yeah, because you're goofy yourself. Yeah.
So you know, I just think that you know, it doesn't take me long to tune in boards. You know, I surf with you. You know, you know, when we were first starting out, you know, we'd all surf together and stuff like that. So it was pretty easy to work. You know, what's good, you know. And I think that once we found that formula, then, you know, you're still riding a very similar board to what you've always ridden, whether it go thicker or thinner. You know, is probably the only differences. But as far as rockers and everything goes, then that's, you know, that's the formula.
This is the new what you're doing. This is epoxy, right?
Yep.
So
it's
light.
Hi-fi.
It's amazing. It's a hi-fi.
Hi-fi, it's called. We call it hi-fi. It's because of the hybrid fibres that are used. It's you know, it's a multi-layered, using different. You know, you can see carbon and there's these olefin fibres and stuff like that. So we spent a few years
on this
on this one.
Wow.
You know, Paulie, Stacey, and myself spent probably about 2 years. You know, working out. Because it never started obviously like that. It was just different materials and different ways of doing it. And this is where
it's what's hot right now.
It's hot right now.
It's epoxy. It's different than normal foam.
Yeah, it is. It's light. They're strong. And these things go pretty fast. So
I haven't ridden epoxy since I was in a wave pool in Allentown, Pennsylvania, when a contest was on.
Wow, really?
How's that memory?
Yeah, wow. And you know, they're so different to. I remember when we were first making them back in the day.
Yeah.
And they go so different to now. You know. Yeah, these are really good performance boards.
And your other shapers other surfers, sorry, that you did shape for, the late great Andy Irons. I know you guys are really good friends. So we all were. We had a good circle going back then before we lost that beautiful man. And how was he with his boards? Was he tricky to shape for?
He was
one of the trickiest.
Yeah, he was a nightmare. He was such a nightmare because he would be so vague. But once, you know what? The one thing that I loved about Andy was everyone else had a better board than him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Joel
He'd pick up Joel's and he's like, why aren't mine this good? Why yours is sick? And I don't know. I'm like, mate, they're not. They're no different. He was amazing, but he would he's another one of those guys, such a freak of a talent. And it was really good, and that's what Luke was, that guy who bought Andy.
He bought
and
Andy
Bruce because
and even myself.
Louis starts,
and myself.
Louis starts, like I said,
Luke Egan had a huge part,
huge impact on this business.
Yeah.
He did. So. Yeah, I mean, look at all the crew. Look at when we used to travel all together. J-Bay and all these places.
We had some good times.
It was so good.
It was all of us staying in one house.
We had a good crew.
We had so much fun.
Yeah,
it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
really, really good times to remember. And what is a regular day for JS Stratty? Or do you have a regular day?
I don't really. I don't know. I don't really have it. It's not. Yeah, I don't have a regular day.
Depends on what's going on with the surf.
It could be surf, work, events, anything.
No regular day.
There's no 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
Doing what I do. There's no, especially nowadays, there's no requirement for me to be here at 9 to 5 or set. I come in and I've got a really good team, and I love shaping still, and I try and make myself as many. You saw a pile of boards sitting up there. There's all little twin fins and all different weird stuff, and which as I'm getting older, I'm starting to enjoy and appreciate more.
Oh, they like the little throwback models.
Yeah, well, not.
You riding them yourself?
I just like. Yeah, I think I'm just stepping. Like everyone's boards, like especially the team guys. There's pretty set with what they're riding, and there's little bits of tweaks and that, but now it's like more about how much fun can I have, and Paulie, and I'll surf, like I said, I'll surf a lot with Joel, and how much sort of fun can we have on different stuff. And I mean, Joel loves it too, since we made hi-fis and riding all the little weird stuff, that he enjoys it because it keeps him fresh.
Yeah.
So
it does.
So I don't really have,
no regular day.
Nah.
That's a good question. I stumped him.
Yeah, you did. Like today. Today's a great example of one of my days. It's like this just pops up. So here we are.
So Stratty, where did the Traktor logo come from?
It's probably the most asked question.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those. It was back when I first started. You had your DHDs, your Dahlbergs, kind of all the guys, Simon, like everyone called their boards by their names. And I've kind of like, I'm a little bit more, that's kind of not me.
Yeah.
Hence it's still JS, and a lot of people don't even know what is his real name, apart from, it getting out there eventually. But the Traktor, Morris Cole had the teddy bear.
Oh yeah, the teddy bear.
Yeah, Morris Cole had the teddy bear at the time, and I thought that was, even though it was a teddy bear, it's still,
cool.
It was really cool.
Logo.
It was very different.
Yeah.
And I thought that I wanted to build, I wanted it not so much to be about me. I wanted to build a brand, but I also had connections. There's childhood photos of me standing next to huge machinery that my old man used to drive.
Okay.
So back in the early days, he was a machine operator, worked in the mines in Stratty, and I just had that.
Did he surf?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, both my parents surfed.
Wow.
My mum and dad. Yeah. So that's how it
cool.
all began. But yeah, it was just that connection with machinery. And I remember Renee, my wife, and I, when I was going around looking for what I was kind of going to do, and Toys R Us had this range of Caterpillar toys, and there was a heap of them, and I bought a heap of them. There's probably like 5 or 6 different machines, and that one was photograph. It was a photograph. Probably, I don't know if everyone.
Would you buy it for the kids?
No, I bought it for me, thinking I'm going to get a logo out of this.
Really?
Yeah.
No
I knew once I saw it, I went, that's what I wanted. That's kind of what I want to do. But I didn't know which one. Scrapers, dozers, all these different sort of things, and trucks, and but this one Traktor, I went up and I took photos of it, and I took it up to Rima Graphics, and they printed them all up, and I just went, that one. It was that little yellow thing at the time, and I was like, yeah, that's it. And then it just evolved. I knew a guy who, this crazy artist, he was a really good drawer, and he did the first hand drawn one and changed it to what it kind of looks like now. And then from there, took it to another graphics guy, and that's the logo that it is. And it's been like that now for a long time, and I don't.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
from so far away.
I don't see it changing now.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of got. Yeah, I don't think it'll ever change from that.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's how it started.
That's how it started, and it's not changed. It's not going anywhere. Do you have a board that means the most to you, like what you have hanging in your office or on your wall at home? Something precious, something dear to you?
There is a bunch of boards.
Is there?
Yeah, there is. I'm going to say that, and Joel has one at his house too. It's the last 2 boards that I made Andy.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, I can recall that he was at home in Kauai. He was off to, where was that event? Puerto Rico?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. And he was sitting outside. Because I was been to his house, as we all have many times. He's sitting outside going, I need some board. I need a couple of boards. He goes, this thing that, I think it was the board that he won Tahiti on.
Okay.
It was the green one.
Yeah.
The green one. He goes, I need some more of them. I'd actually made him a board called, and it was, his model was the Confusion. Because
he was confused.
He was fucking Andy, and we named it actually. We had a surf in Greenie, was like about this big and kind of pumping, and Joel, myself, Andy, and I just made myself a couple of boards, and typical Andy, like I'd made him boards, and then I had my boards, and he's going feeling my boards. He's like,
I think yours are better.
He goes, I'm going to ride yours, and I'm like,
no,
nah, mate, like, just go out there and ride yours. He goes out and he's riding his. He's like, give me that board of yours. And he rode it, and he was ripping on it. And I just went, he goes, I'm taking this. And I was like, oh, God, you're always so freaking confused about what you want. And bloody, anyway. And he ended up taking my 2 boards.
He did?
Back then. And anyway, I was like, that's where this Confusion model came from. But before Puerto Rico, I made him 2 boards.
Yeah.
I shipped them. I remember talking to Lindy. We went through such a drama to get him these boards quick, and ended up getting them to customs, and customs in Hawaii wouldn't let them out.
Oh, so they stayed there.
So they stayed there.
And you got them back.
And he went on and to Puerto Rico, Puerto Rico, and those boards sat in customs, and I. After Andy's passing, I had to get them back, and I went to all lengths to get it back. Blake Patet at the time, he went in there and tried to get them, and I ended up getting them back.
Unreal.
Yeah, I ended up getting back.
That's so special.
Yeah, I ended up, Louis got them back, and Joel ended up one, and Louis had it for a while, and I went, you've just got to give me that board back. Sorry, mate. But
Who breaks the most boards? And like, it can be anyone, because I know we haven't got Andy here anymore, or Bruce is not riding, but through the days, who's?
Dusty Payne.
Dusty Payne.
Dusty Payne was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dusty was a good one.
Charging, airs,
everything.
going right through his boards.
Yeah, everything.
Heavy on his boards.
Heavy on his boards. Julian's a pretty obvious one. That's why Julian was probably one of those guys who helped me evolve the laminating process to where it is today to make, make boards last longer. Because he's the guy who'll, bust the board in the heat, and it's just, far out. That's just radical. And that's part of why this hi-fi came about, for one, making a stronger, lighter board. But at the same time, we also evolved our PU lamination process. And like I said, now we're down to making boys not that many boards. That's it. But Dusty Payne, Julian Wilson, Joel doesn't break boards. No. I mean, you look at the way he surfs, he's so in tune with the wave, and his timing's amazing. And if he does bust an air, it's like so going to connect, and you know he's going to make it. And all. Joel's not really renowned for, but I've seen him probably do, and you probably have too. I've seen him probably do some of the biggest
me too.
airs out of anyone, and biggest, cleanest, and best.
He doesn't go to it enough.
Nah, but he can do it.
He sure can, man.
Yeah, he can do it.
He's done them straight over my head.
Yeah.
And if you weren't a shaper, I know you should have been a pro surfer, or could have been, but what about the third option? What would you be doing?
There wasn't a third option. There wasn't a third option. I had, I almost became a bricklayer, but that was on Stradbroke Island. This guy wanted to, and lucky for me, he was a wanker, so I ended up couldn't deal with it. But and then I actually came down to started doing I was going to do a chef's apprenticeship. But I was so young when I was doing that, like left school at 15 or whatever, and those were starting to be my options. And lucky for me, I could grow up on Stradbroke Island still, and I got to live there, do odd jobs till I was 23, and then this ended up my path. Yeah. So it all probably worked out for a reason.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stratty. Thanks for
being
on the Occ-Cast. And thanks for the relationship and all the boards. They've been going so good, and that's another Occ-Cast.
Thanks, guys.